and today we have
Mons.
Park.
who's our special guest today. So guys, thank you very much for coming on the show today. So today we're talking about parenthood. So the first question that I got for you guys today, what makes a good parent? Because we don't have no rules or guidelines when we become parents. So what makes a good parent?
So I think good. In terms of in what sense? I mean, is that in terms of the parents themselves or just the children? If it's for the children, then it's a situation wherein the children are really happy, they're taken care of, and they're supported, and they feel like the environment where they live is really conducive for them. And so that's what I would say about that.
Making a good parent. How about you?
I think just being nourishing and loving and being there for them.
How about like the financial side, the mental stability? How about building a foundation for them to...
Sometimes that don't always happen because most of the time pregnancy is not planned.
So you're trying to say that if you have an unplanned pregnancy, you're not always the best parent?
No, I'm just saying that, you know, that with some people, if there was a plan to have a baby, they'll make sure that the finance is there and what they need is there. But if it's unplanned, you may not have like all the finances you need. So it's like you're given, I would say, the time that you're still pregnant to try and get things together to be able to at least financially look after the baby or babies, depending.
Okay. So do you believe, like, we're not only talking about the financial side of the child, but bringing some stability, like in a relationship, couples being together, staying together?
Yeah.
Do you think that has an impact on the child?
Yeah, it can have an impact because it's like it's the one parent basically playing one role, and it can be too much for one person, and it can get to a point where sometimes they can drop the ball whilst raising their child or children, which can have like a long-term effect on the child. Yeah.
Like, what do you think? Do you think you need two parents to raise a child good and give the child stability?
I think naturally it does really help the child in terms of their development and the behavior and everything to do about them and how they're shaped. I do agree with Monique that wherein the child is in a single parent household, and it does create some challenges for the child. But then I think that the other parent who is not immediately with the child should also be participating in their caring, and so it's just a matter of the two parents being adults, and then make sure they put the children.
Yeah, co-parenting is a very good key. If you're not together, the co-parenting has to be on point.
I agree with you, but I still at the same time do believe that if you are a single parent, that you can raise your child up in a positive way as well. The child can grow up with a good mental development as well. Another question I got for you guys, did you want to say something?
No, I just wanted to support the point that you're making. There are lots of really good single parents out there who when you look at their children and then see what they become, they're really successful. So that's really credit to them. So you're absolutely right about that.
So we're giving credit to all the single parents out there, because raising children is difficult. It's not that easy. So well done if you are a single parent and your child has come up to be a role model. Another question I got to ask you guys, when you're in a relationship, in a marriage, because the reason why I keep saying marriage, guys, ideally it is nice if you do get married. If you don't, then it's not an issue. But in a marriage and two people break up, why is it so easy for the father to walk away from the child or children that he has with the wife?
I mean, that's a really tricky question, and I'm not really sure about the premise of that particular question, because sometimes it's not like the father is walking away per se. It might be due to certain circumstances, like for example, if the wife is filing for a divorce, for instance, then it may be required of the father to leave the house, because obviously they both can't stay in the same house. I have, however, seen examples of where two married couples have actually divorced, but then they're still staying in the same house. So it does happen, because then it's necessary for both of them to move on with their lives. And I think, again, I'll go back to my point about prioritizing the children to make sure that they get all the support that they need, and it can be tricky.
But in this case, I'm talking about like when a couple's divorced, sometimes the divorce can be very bitter. And then, the father thinks that, okay, I married a woman, I got the children, that came as a package. Since I haven't got the wife no more, I don't even want the kids no more, I'm moving on with my life completely. And then they end up being absent fathers.
I mean, in that situation, I think that would be the wrong move for the father, because if you're you are a real dad, then you will be there for your child,
no matter what the situation is.
Yes, it should always be a priority. It's not negotiable at all, because obviously the children are not responsible for what goes wrong in a relationship, and they should not be put in it so that they suffer from it. It shouldn't be that way. I think that's really selfish if any father is to do that.
I think some can be very petty and spiteful as well. Like they have their own little reasons as why they're doing what they're doing.
Yeah, because I know some. It's been speaking to a couple of people this week regarding this topic coming up, and one male said to me he has walked away from his children because he felt that if the woman doesn't want him no more, she thinks that she's independent, so therefore she should raise the children independently. So that's the reason why he's walked out. But I said to him, okay, don't you think that's going to affect your children's mental state with you not being around? He's like, no, because the woman feels like she's independent, so she should look after the children. But men, when they walk away from, the children at a young age, they're not thinking about the long-term effects that it does actually have on a child.
Was it her that wanted to leave the marriage?
Yeah, she wanted to break up the relationship because them two weren't getting on. And that's the next thing. Sometimes, just because you've got children, you cannot force yourself to stay into that relationship, because sometimes you have arguments, sometimes that's not even healthy for the children. So we don't want anybody to stay in a toxic relationship just because you have children with a person, otherwise the children will become unhappy as well. So there's side effects to both, if you stay and be unhappy or if you walk away. It's just one of them difficult situations. Yeah. So also, do you think it's fair? This is like a big issue. It's a big topic that's been going on for many years. I've been picking up information over many years, talking to different people. Now, when not even a couple, say you got a side thing, the side girl gets pregnant. It's not a planned pregnancy. You both already spoke. Han, are you on the pill? Yeah, I'm on the pill. By chance, she ends up getting pregnant. So when she goes to the guy, look, I'm pregnant. The guy turns around to her, look, Han, now is not the time for you to be pregnant. I'm not financially stable. I'm not ready to be a dad. I will not be there for the child. However, the female continues to keep the pregnancy. Do you think it's fair that he should carry on the father responsibilities after saying to this female that he's not ready to be a dad, that he doesn't want to be a dad? Do you think it's fair? Do you think he should still take on that role of being a father?
I think with this, From when you actually have intercourse with a woman without any condoms, that is your potential baby mom. Regardless if she says she's on something or not, is if you really strongly don't want any children with this person that you're with, use condom.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. So use that precaution, and I mean, another powerful precaution to use is not to even have sex in the first place.
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, that's to be really truthful here, and to me again, it just mean that the man is being really selfish, and I don't think the child should be punished, because that's a total punishment, isn't it? And the child is going to need, like everybody, a mom and a father. I mean, if it's a same-sex relationship, then of course the two people who are involved in it. So you've got to be there for them and support them, regardless of whether you have a disagreement or agreement with the mother or something. Of course, it may look like a bit of, I mean, some would say selfishness from the mother, because initially they perhaps have reassured the man that, oh no, I'm safe, so we're free to do whatever we wanted to do. But then that shouldn't be taken to affect the child at all. I think that's totally
There's
wrong.
also some women out there that actually have beliefs regarding abortion, and there's some that mentally can't even, like if they was to do it, I don't think mentally they'll be able to deal with the repercussions of abortion, so they're forced to have to raise a child. That's not even an option, regardless if they don't want the child or not. They know that this is my life now. So regardless if you want the child or not, whether you want to be involved or not, this is my responsibility. But I feel as a man, regardless, from, like I said before, from when you have a sex with a woman without any condom, that is your potential baby mother. So as a man, if you're big enough to lie down with women and have sex with them, you should be big enough to raise that child. You don't have to be with the woman. Don't worry about what's going on with her. Make sure she's good mentally and emotionally to be able to raise your child, and make sure your child is good. Otherwise, just don't have sex. You won't have this problem.
Okay, but if the guy has come to you, look, I am not ready to be a dad. I haven't even got any money. Put aside, people be having sex anyway.
Yeah.
Whether they're mentally stable, whether they're financially stable, they be having sex anyway. Do you think when situations come where, okay, now I've got this child, you know, the dad hasn't really stepped up, do you think it's right that some women as well are be like, you know what, he's a waste man, he hasn't done anything for the child? Because he did pre-warn you, said that he cannot financially help you because he's not in a financial stable place. He cannot be around because maybe he's not mentally able to do that. Do you think it's right that some mothers will still be insulting this man when he already pre-warned you?
I don't think, in that way of how you put it, I don't think it's right. But personally, I can only talk for myself. I let them get on with it. If you can and able to be there financially, then I'll welcome it. But I am not going to run you down or belittle you or make you feel away because you cannot. I'll give you that space to be able to provide if you can, but if you're not, I'm not going to.
Because he's already done told you that he's not going to
provide. I'm just going to leave it because with me, I'm very prideful, so I won't put myself in a position where I'll make myself. You know what I mean? So
because also, as women, it is our responsibility. If you get a man, okay, you like the man, you're constantly having sex, it is also our responsibility to know, okay, yes, some of us do get pregnant when we are on the pill. Some of us are just having sex without even, you know, taking the pill. Oh, no, he's going to pull out. The pull-out game don't work. You know, it is our responsibility to make sure that we get the emergency after pull. If I got someone keep telling me, you know what, I'm not ready to be a dad, you know, they look like they're not going nowhere with you in the future. Why are you still sleeping with the person for? Sometimes you need to stop. Because you know that if you get pregnant, the first thing, like, if I get into a relationship with anybody and we start having sex, I know, they know, if they're not using any protection, there is a possibility of me getting pregnant. I always have the discussion, what if this happens? From I see them saying, you know, well, I'm not ready to be a dad, or I've got so much children, or I'm thinking about myself, it's a red flag. It's a red flag. I'm not even going to sleep with you again. Because you're basically telling me if I do get pregnant, you're bouncing. I'm left with the child. I want a man to be responsible. Yeah, we don't have to be together, but if it does happen, this is what you're going to do. This is what you're going to play your role as a father to the child. Or if you can't be in the child's life, you're going to financially support, you're going to do something to the upbringing of your child. Because we both know what it is from the beginning.
I mean, probably sometimes the way to look at it is to say, all right, then, well, here is a car that is going to move you from one point to the next point, and there is a chance that that car could be involved in an accident, and if you're in it, then you might be affected as well. So I understand the point if the woman comes with in a deceptive way, you've assured me and reassured me that, oh, you're safe on appeal and everything, and you're not going to get pregnant, but then I'm still having sex with you. I mean, there is that chance that the pill isn't perfect. No medication is perfect at all for the prevention of pregnancy. So if it happens, I think let's break this into two ways. Yeah, there is a sort of conflict between myself and the woman for that so-called deception, or whatever way I put it. I mean, I'm using extreme words, yeah. But then the second thing is that there is a child now. You know, it's a human being, and they're powerless. They need parents to look after them. And then if I'm involved in bringing that child to this planet, then it's my responsibility to look after them. I can pick up the issue with the woman separately, but I don't think I need to bring that wrong to punish the child.
Yeah.
It's just totally not acceptable.
And a lot of men don't think like you, so it's really nice to hear this coming from a man's perspective of how a man should be. Yeah. I spoke to someone, he was in this situation, and he did actually try to be there for the child. And one time he called me on the phone, he was like, you know what, yeah, she's had the baby. He wasn't happy. He did say he wasn't going to be there, but he did try to be there for the child. And he just said every time he looks at the child, he cannot fall in love with the child because the child was made under false pretenses. So he pulled himself back. And I felt so hurt. When he said that, I actually felt so hurt that no matter what, this is still your child and you can't fall in love with your child. But I think his mind, he just built it up to so much anger with the mom. He wasn't ready. He kept warning her. So I think that kind of blocked the way of him building up a love for the child.
I mean, perhaps the question I would pose to such individual is to say, well, what about if you were in that situation? How would you feel if you were that child and your father is acting in such a way towards you? How would you feel?
But this is it. I did put that question to him, and he said the same thing. He's like, it's a little girl. He said, you know what? I'm going to wait for when she grows up so I can explain to her that I was not ready. I was sorting out my life, and I couldn't look after her. He tried, but he mentally could not do that. So he said he's going to wait till she grows up.
Well, I mean, I would suggest to that individual to seek some support, some professional support.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's about the child. I totally understand. I see where you're coming from, gentleman, and I have the fullest respect for you. And I would be upset as well, like if I were in your situation. But at the end of the day, you've got to learn to move on. There is a child now involved. That child needs you. And I'm sure that child loves you, and you will love that child back.
Yeah, so put your big pants on.
I think that would kind of backfire waiting. Because my teenage self, if he was to come to me and say that, I've already built up an animosity, an anger towards the fact that my father wasn't around. And then you come to me with that, you're just going to add more fuel to the fire. It may not go the way you want it to go. And by that time when you're actually feeling like, oh, maybe I can do this, she may not want nothing to do with you.
It's true, and there will be a lot of resentment because it still comes back to the beginning. When you have sex, you know there's a possibility, whether you're on the pill, even when you're wearing a condom, there is a possibility of a pregnancy come Dunn's birth. So you must know having sex is a risk of bringing a human life. So put your big pants on, look after your children. Yes, sometimes the situations that the children do come into the world is not always nice, but you have a responsibility. That's your blood. And when he was saying that, I just felt so hurt for the child.
Yeah. And
I
that's
felt
the
so
thing,
hurt for the
isn't it?
child. I almost put tears in, and I had to. It did affect our friendship after that, because I was. I don't want to say too much, but it did affect our friendship, because you're not being a man. He's probably watching this thinking, this girl chatting my business. Yeah, I'm chatting it. I'm chatting it. Okay, so okay guys, so the next question is, because I noticed that this seems to be a very big issue that is actually going on, is that women seem to be using their children as weapons. For example, when a relationship breaks because a man has cheated, women get angry and then feel that they don't want the father in their life, because they feel that the father is the one who broke the relationship and done something, you know, to affect the family. Do you think why not do you think it's right, because we know it's wrong. It is wrong for us to say, you know what, you shouldn't see your children because you cheated. Why do you think a lot of women take that role?
I feel that there's some women out there that don't know how to deal with their emotions. They don't know how to like deal with it. It's like, if you're a selfish person, then emotionally you will be selfish. You're not putting your kids before your own emotions. Like, you're not remembering that whatever's going between you and that person has nothing to do with the child. So put all that aside. You don't have to key with each other. You can just meet at the door and be like, okay, here's your kids. And you don't have to see each other again until it's time to get back your kids. There's actually no reason for any of that. And most of the time it's the emotional attachment that they still have with the man. And they can't even imagine them being with someone else. They don't even want that to be a reality. So it's like they feel that keeping the kids away from the man will hurt them, when they're not realizing that it's actually affecting the children and affecting them. Because when, like, say for example, they need a babysitter and there's no one around to be able to take the kids, and the father's there willing to take the kids, but just because of the spite that you've got against him, you're there like a collateral damage to yourself because of the hate that you've got towards the man, which it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally wrong, isn't it? And sometimes that happens when there is a really high conflict between the man and the woman, and it could be, as Monica rightly said, because of unfaithfulness, I can't even speak now, cheating in the relationship, or perhaps in a situation wherein the woman is manipulative. Then they tend to use the child as a weapon, and that's totally wrong, because the child shouldn't be involved as such. And what you're really trying to do is to not, as you rightly said, hurt the man. I mean, if you want to have beef with the man, by all means, please do that. But not with the child.
Leave the
kid out of it, because they're growing up and they need both parents to be able to support them, not fighting and trying to use the child against one parent or the other way around.
It's a very toxic environment, because what they don't seem to understand, they're causing a domino effect. It's even more worse if you've got a girl child as well. So if they're growing up witnessing this and they end up having children when they're older, they're just going to feel that's the right thing to do because I saw my mum do it.
Yeah.
So what's going on in society right now is a domino effect of parenting from way before we even existed.
Yeah. But then, guys, you do have situations, I don't know if you watched on the news a couple of months ago, that the girlfriend and boyfriend broke up out the relationship, and the mum was sending the child with the dad, and the new girlfriend ended up killing the child. So sometimes I think some mothers will think, you know what, I'm not going to allow the dad to see that child because I don't know who the other female you are bringing that child around. So I think sometimes that does take play
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
catch-22 situation when it comes to something like that.
Yeah, but then I don't think that's weaponizing the child in that case. I think clearly what that shows is that certainly the woman has some concerns around the safety of the child, and if it's legitimate, then of course I wouldn't let my child go to that particular
Somebody
space.
that they don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, if the dad has got into a relationship with someone new, do you think that maybe it might be advisable for the child's mom and the girl to know each other
Definitely.
before you say, okay, take the child there? Because at the same time, we don't want to say, no, don't take your child. Because the dad has a right, regardless whether he's in a new relationship or not, for him to pick up his child. And it's not compulsory that, you know, he has to introduce you to his new partner.
Yeah, I mean, the man then has to take greater responsibility, thinks about the child's safety first, and obviously, I mean, if you love your child, why would you expose them to somebody who's dangerous?
But remember, you don't know that the person's dangerous. You just you're in a relationship with them. They're all nice, kiki, like daycare and stuff.
Well, I wouldn't introduce my child to them yet until I get to know them first. So let me do all the.
But sometimes you could be in a
sussing out and
relationship
stuff.
with someone for even like a year, and you never ever know how they're gonna behave in future. Deep down, they're hating on your child. So after you're with that person for a whole year, okay, now's the time to introduce my child to the person. You still don't know. I trust the child. I trust the person. Sorry.
I just feel in that situation, it's like just don't leave your child or children alone with that per se partner. I feel you should, anytime if you have to have your kids the same weekend, you're around your woman, always be around your kids.
It's
Do
just
not-
such a
don't
catch-22
even-
because
yeah,
you don't
it's
want your
kinda
woman to think
crazy.
that you can't trust her around your children as well. So it's such a
Yeah, it's right.
catch-22. It is just crazy. But guys, I just want to say to some of us women out there, your children are not weapons. Whether your husband has done you wrong, whether he has cheated, you have no right to stop him from seeing that child if he is a responsible father. The only time you should stop him from seeing that child if you believe that your children are at risk in his company. And when I say stop him, you need to go through legal procedures to actually stop him. Not just say, okay, I'm stopping you from seeing. You need to have evidence that he is an unfit father. Stop using your children as weapons. Stop making the fathers be absent from your children's life. They need their fathers as well. Put aside everything. Your children need their fathers. Let men take responsibility. And, you know, that goes to the next question. Do you think the government gives too much power to women?
Yeah.
When it comes, you do.
Yeah.
That's nice. Hearing that from
I do.
another female.
I do. Because, for example, the rules that they've got towards men when they don't, say, for example, pay child support or whatever, like they recently came out, I think 5-6 years ago, that if you're not up to date with your child support, they can confiscate your passport.
Yeah, I heard about that. I think that was
You
recently.
can do prison time
Mm.
if you don't keep up with your payments, and I feel it should be the same for mothers as well, because I do know at least a few single fathers that receive child benefit from the other half, and sometimes they don't even keep up with their payments. The rules should apply to them as well. It shouldn't be
They should have
one-sided.
equal rights.
It's the same thing, because us as women, we scream equal rights, equal rights. That situation should also be the same as well.
I'm not very familiar with the specific situation you've just mentioned, but I think if that's the case, of course, I mean, in terms of equity, then if the rule applies to men, then it should apply to women the same way. But there might be other circumstances that people who made those rules have taken into account. It's more likely for the same way, but there might be other circumstances that people who made those rules have taken into account. It's more likely for a woman to be the custodian. Is that the right word? The key parent who looks after a child, especially if the child is young or something.
Because we carried the child and they just see women as nurturing, naturally loving.
Yeah. And often, I mean, research says this, often it's the man that seems to be the troublemaker in this case rather than the woman. But of course, I think equality should apply to both.
I could also add to
genders.
that as what you just said about it could be the man more of trouble with the woman. I think because it's known for certain men to manipulate the situation, I think with females, I think more investigation proof has to come into it before those things are put in place. But I still believe that the same for man should be for women.
Yeah, because women, we do actually play along with that, because we're like, oh, the government is not going to give you your children, you cannot take away these children because you have to prove that I'm an unfit mother. You know what, stop seeing your children. And most fathers, they do not take the woman to court, because they, when they hear that they have to pay this sum, you know, just to fight a case in court, not all men see that as a waste of money, but it is a lot of money. Sometimes men do not have that financial, you know, strength to even bring that woman to court to fight for them children. So women do play with the law, they do take it for advantage, and it is wrong. And women, I'm a woman myself, that has to stop. It has to stop. You know, how are we teaching our children, how are we growing them? Like, it has to stop. You know, you guys want to add anything?
I don't know, because I'm mentally, I mean, I don't really know much about that area. It might be that some women are taking advantage of the law and perhaps misusing it to their own advantage or something, which is totally wrong. But then I think at the end of the day, the two parents have to just be really think like adults and do things like adults, and then say, hey, we do have conflict and we do have misunderstanding. There are problems in our relationship, but let's just put that aside. We do have a child or children. Let's look after them together and give them the best that they can get in their life.
What I would add is just, we as humans just need to do better.
Yeah, overall we do. And just because I said what I had said, it doesn't mean you men play up and think, yeah, she's on our side. No, I'm not. I'm not on your side at all. You guys are trouble. But yeah, guys, I just want to say thank you very much for being on the show today. Guys, if you have any comments, please put them in the comment section. Yeah, and you know what to do with the rest. Press like and subscribe. Thank you very much.
Thank you.